and welcome back to the most amazing channel on the internet. I'm your host Rebecca Felgate, and today we're talking about trains. Woo woo! You guys love the top 10 scary train urban legends so much that we have decided to make a part 2 for you. And you know what? This makes me happy because I love trains. Now before we get going, I want to hear what the longest train journey that you have ever been on is. I got an overnight sleeper train from Bangkok to Surat Thani in Thailand, and it was awesome. I would love to get a classy overnight sleeper on the Flying Scotsman from London to Edinburgh. It's definitely on my bucket list. Alright, scary trains. Let me know all of your thoughts. Also, if you want to connect with me on social media, my link is in the description box. Let's roll on into this, shall we? Coming in at number 10, we have the express train to hell. This story is an urban legend from Newark Central Station in New Jersey. It seems that a homeless man had been hanging around the station for a number of days, and the station master had kept trying to move him on. One night he started screaming, "It's coming for me, it's coming for me." This is when the station master reluctantly told the man that he was going to call the police. He said in all seriousness, "The express train for hell is coming for my soul, you've got to help me." He confessed to the station master that he had killed a man who had cheated him. Now the station master told him to calm down, but sure enough, at midnight, the sound of a steam engine came rolling into the station. It also came with that telltale wind that comes along with an approaching train. He held the homeless man back as he looked like he was about to jump in front of the invisible train. Both of the men then stumbled backwards to the ground. The station master lost his grip of the man. When he turned to see if he was okay, the homeless man was nowhere to be seen. Did the express train from hell pick up its passenger? From New Jersey to nearby New York, we have the ghost trains of Felgate Bridge at number 9. There is a genuine bridge in New York called Felgate Bridge, which is disconcerting. Felgate crosses the East River, connecting Queens to Randall's Island. That isn't all the bridge connects, though. It may well join New York to the fiery pits of hell. According to local law, the bridge is haunted by an old train whose passengers are the city's damned. Those who find themselves on the bridge at night report seeing strange lights thundering towards them before they disappear. Others report seeing an old battered train floating over the river. The legend says that the carriages are filled with people who have lost their lives in the water. Some of these may be murder victims, people who have fallen short of the mafia, suicide jumpers, and even historic Dutch explorers. They all sit together on one really weird ride to hell. Coming into number 8, we have haunted Connolly Station in Ireland. Connolly Station is a busy train hub in the centre of Dublin, and it connects rail routes across the country. In 2011, ghost hunters visited the station after a rise in reports of strange goings-on in the building and around the platform. This station is old, dating back to 1844, which means it's likely to have seen a lot of action. The station is also near the North Strand, which was heavily bombed during World War II. It's thought that some of the poltergeist activity is from lost souls who were killed in the bombardment. Leading paranormalist Tim Kelly was keen to be granted permission to investigate the station. It's actually very hard to obtain permission, seeing as it's always so busy. He said, "Sometimes the human ear can't pick up the voices, and they are only audible once recorded on audio recorders and reviewed." He also quoted Ghostbusters and claimed that he ain't afraid of no ghost. And all of a sudden we're back in the USA as we talk about the dead man of the New York subway at number 7. This legend has been circling the New York subway for about as long as the subway has been running. It's also done the rounds on the Paris Metro, the London Tube, the Toronto TTC, basically all cities with an underground train network. This legend goes that a person is sitting on the train minding their own business. They soon look up to realize that the person across from them is staring at them with a creepy kind of vacant blank face. They notice 2 other people sitting next to the starer, seemingly unaware of the creep that they're sandwiching. A man then comes up and whispers to the train rider, saying they ought to get off at the next station. They do it, and then the man follows them and says something along the lines of, "Thank God, I didn't mean to scare you, but I'm a doctor. You had to get off that train because the man staring at you was dead, and the 2 people aside of him were propping him up." There are so many variants on this story, some including one person riding round and round and round on a loop until somebody finally realizes that they're dead. This story appeared in print in 1933 in a newspaper about Manhattan folktales. This leads us to believe that this is just simply one of those urban legends. Coming into number 6, we have the legend of Casey Jones. Johnny Cash sings the true story of the legendary Casey Jones, a gallant railroad engineer working in Cannonball, USA in the late 1800s. Jones had a rep for always running his trains on time without fault, even if it meant running trains at very, very high speeds. He began to be known for his efficiency and the whistle he would make whilst driving the trains through towns. One day in April 1900, Jones was working a double shift and was tasked with bringing a late train from Memphis into Chicago on time. The train was an hour and a half behind schedule, and Jones sent the train flying at 100 miles per hour. Sadly, as he pulled through Vaughan, Mississippi, he realized there was a train parked on the tracks ahead. Now, because of how fast he was going, he simply could not stop in time. He pumped the brakes and advised some of the passengers to jump. He sounded the train's whistle as a warning. The collision was awful, but all of the passengers survived. The only person who died was Casey, who was struck in the throat. He had one hand on his whistle and the other on his brake. Some people in the area still claim they hear the whistle on hot summer afternoons. Coming in at number 5, we have the baby train. This is a classic urban legend. Why is it scary? Because babies are actually, kind of terrifying. Babies as a result of train scheduling, even worse. This urban legend has been told across a number of cities, and one of the earliest mentions was in Chicago. In 1939, a passage in a Christoph Morley's novel Kitty Foyle read, "The first thing you hear mornings in Manitou is the early Q train to Chicago. It's too early to get up and too late to go to sleep again. They have a legend out there that the morning yells of that rattler do a good deal to keep up the birth rate." Now, this legend was also appropriated to Canberra in Australia, when the government supposedly noticed that a birth rate was 3 times higher than the rest of Australia. When a government statistician went to investigate, he found the place swarming with kids. Once again, terrifying. He realised the town was on a main rail line used by the Kygel mail train every morning at 4:30 a.m. Now, apparently this wake-up call got people frisky. If all it takes is a train horn to get pregnant, I'm terrified. Also, that really is one horn that will haunt you forever. This story is coming from New Zealand. Yeah, mate. At number 4, we have the ghost of Glen Eden Railway Station. Situated in Auckland, the Glen Eden Station has a rather morbid history. The station in Waitakere City was built in order to transport bodies to a nearby cemetery. That isn't all either. On January the 11th, 1924, Alex McFarland, a tablet porter at the station, lost his balance and slipped between the platform and an oncoming train, severing both his legs. He later died from his injuries. Now, since the station was refurbished, a cafe has been built on the site. It seems that the ghost of McFarland is partial to a visit. Cafe staff have reported seeing a man with a grey beard and a trench coat walking up and down the platform. Some say they see a man peering at them through a window. Other staff members have reported a man in a top hat entering the cafe and asking for a train timetable before disappearing. Is this the same gentleman, or are they 2 separate ghosts? Are there more ghosts? I wouldn't be surprised given the station's history. Do you want to know what happens after the last train leaves Sydney's Macquarie Fields station? Find out at number 3. I read an article online that called Macquarie Fields a small station with a very big secret. Now, according to local reports, after the last train departs, crying and wailing can be heard whistling down the station platform. Those who've been on the platform after the last train have reported seeing a teenage girl shrieking, crying, and even sitting on the tracks. Apparently, this ghostly apparition is fond of staring into people's eyes as they walk by her. Some say the ghost is of a girl who missed the last train home and was murdered as she tried to make her own way home. Others say that she was a teen who fell on the tracks, whereas others say that she was a regretful suicide victim. Coming in at number 2, we have the ghost of William Terriss. Actor William Terriss was stabbed to death outside of London's Adelphi Theatre on December the 16th, 1897. Now, he was stabbed by a fellow thespian, Richard Archer Prince. It seemed that Terriss had had the man fired from a previous production due to his instability, which, considering he later turned out to murder him, is, a fair shout. Prince was an alcoholic and declared insane, which meant that he got off pretty lightly. Perhaps this unresolved business is why the ghost of Terriss is said to haunt the Adelphi Theatre and the nearby Covent Garden tube station. Teressa's ghost has been reported at Covent Garden station since 1955, so over 57 years after his death. Jack Hayden, a ticket taker at the station, was locking up when he encountered an elegantly dressed man wearing gloves and holding a cane. When Hayden asked the man how he was and how he was still in the station, he simply disappeared. When he reported the incident, his description of the man matched the late actor. Many other station staff have also reported seeing him after hours. Now it seems that the tube station is near the site of Terriss's favourite bakeries. All ghosts are by nature pretty scary, but I have to say the ghost of actor William Terriss isn't the worst to encounter. He just wanted a good old piece of bread or a cake. Cake. Finally, coming in at number 1, we have the very popular urban legend about the time-travelling train of Zanetti. This is a popular urban legend surrounding the alleged disappearance of a train in Italy in 1911. The story goes that an Italian rail company, Zanetti, had set up a trip to advertise a new train route. They invited 100 high-flying members of society to board this new train on a show route. The train, manned by 6 crew, left Rome and was travelling towards Lombard. As the train approached a mountain tunnel, a few of the passengers had a very bad feeling. Now, 2 of those passengers were so overcome with terror that they jumped from the moving train. The rest glided into a tunnel, which then trembled and closed up behind them. It literally seemed as if the mountain swallowed the train, which in turn was never found. The 2 people that jumped from the train were injured, but survived and relayed their experiences to locals after they regained their health in hospital. The other 104 people on board were nowhere to be found. Now, there were some sketchy reports of 100 or so people turning up in Mexico speaking Italian and seeming very lost and confused. Okay, so that was that. What an adventure. Which of these did you find the scariest? Let me know in the comment section down below. Also, don't forget to let me know what the longest train ride you have ever been on is. For now, I'm your host Rebecca Felgate. If you like this video, make sure you give it a good thumbs up, share it with a friend, stay subscribed for more most amazing lists, and also if you want to connect with me on social media, my link is in the description box down below. See you next time.